Joe and Joe. We got a special guest today, my man Steve Loff, super duper card collector. You know, his Instagram page, Throwback Sports Cards, inspires me. He really, really does a lot for the hobby, for the community. Love it. Does all great stuff. Love is we kind of have the same style in collecting too, which kind of is cool. But welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me.
Awesome, man.
Yeah. Thank you both.
So it's funny. Like, I don't know if we ever met personally, but I'm close with Jimmy Matteo.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I was living in LA, me and Jimmy would, we roll around together, whatever. And I always remember him talking about Willie Pep.
Yeah.
The movie. You know what I'm saying? And it's so awesome. I wanted to congratulate you guys that you know how the entertainment business is. You could have something and 10 years later it's in action, but it's great to see, the wheels going with that, man.
Absolutely.
Because I remember at the start how it was, and it's great to see you guys moving with that.
Thank you. It took us 13 and a half years, Joe, from when we first came up with the idea. Jim always wanted to play Willie Pep, and I was living in LA in 2008. He invited me over to his place. I saw a picture of Willie Pep on his bulletin board. I'll never forget. It was February 2008. And we finally made the movie this past fall. 13 and a half years from the time we said, okay, let's work on this. Jim, I want to help you out. He's like, yeah, let's do it. Till when we rolled cameras in the fall of 21. So that's persistence, that's staying at it. Like you said, in Hollywood, a lot of people think things have, people on the outside don't understand how much time it takes to get something done.
Totally.
13 plus years is long, but it was worth it. Would I have signed up for that at the beginning? I don't know. If he would have said, hey, we're going to get this done, it's going to take 13 years, I probably would have left. I would have went the other way.
Of course.
We got it done.
Well, Jimmy's the perfect guy to play him too. I mean, can't ask for anybody better than that. But I was there. I was living in LA at that time, so it was right at that. It was 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. Yeah. So it was the infant stages. But just seeing it now, man, it's awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we'll see the movie in 2023, so we'll keep you posted on that for sure.
Oh, we're juiced about that. So anyway, getting into this, it's funny. Like me and Joe always talk about, like the pandemic. It brought me back into the hobby. Obviously, me and Joe, we collected kids in New York growing up, Mattingly, Strawberry, everybody. But it's funny how the pandemic and my daughter brought me, the love came back. And we always like, man, it's crazy how something like that could bring you back to something you love. Tell us your story. Were you always in the hobby since a kid? Did you get back into it? How did it come about for you?
Yeah, I'm kind of like you guys. I collected as a kid. I collected as early as 1980. My dad was a police officer, NYPD, and he'd come home after his night shifts and he'd bring me packs of cards, right? So that was the beginning, and I guess I have a collecting gene. I guess we all do here, as collectors do. And I just got hooked on cards, right? I was always looking for that pack of cards he was bringing home. So I was like 6 years old. I collected till about, high school, junior year. Then it was, forget the cards. I was chasing girls, right? Doing all the other things that we did back then.
Yep.
So I put the cards down about 17. That was 91. Picked them back up pre-pandemic, 2019. I got back into it. We had our second kid on the way. I'd been carrying around like 10,000 cards for years, like apartment to apartment, house to house, And my wife's like, look, baby's on the way. What are you doing with it? We need this space up in the closet. Right? The faithful words. I took the cards down. I went through everything and I fell in love again. My childhood came flooding back, all the nostalgia, just the joy of sorting the cards and going through them and the plays, like you mentioned, the Mattinglys and the Strawberries, the guys we grew up with, right, in the 80s and the 90s. And since that moment, spring of 2019, I'm now I'm in year number 4 of being back in the hobby. And I just love cards, man. I'm just obsessed, probably like you guys are at this point.
Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's funny because I got back into me and Joe always talk about how you get to a certain age, like in high school, you're just done. I'm doing other things, whatever. And then about 2017, I got back into it because of Aaron Judge. I was like, I went to a Rail Riders game in like 2015. And I was like, yeah, I'd like to see what's up with this guy's cards, this and that. And then when I got back into the hobby, I was like, wow, this is crazy. This guy's had cards since 2014, but I luckily snatched a few of those up.
Nice.
But, cool. But just so sometimes I think people don't get it, but I think you can attest to this. How crazy was it in like 85, 86, 84? Like the Strawberry rookie, the Mattingly rookie, the Clemens rookie, and the Doc Gooden rookie. Like those were the hottest cards on the planet for a while before the McGuire. Do you remember how crazy that was in New York? Like that every kid just wanted the Strawberry rookie was insane.
Absolutely.
As a Yankee fan, I'd be willing to trade. I traded because I couldn't hit the Strawberry, and I actually traded a couple of Mattingly's to get it, because I had an extra Mattingly. But man, those cards, like I don't think people understand like our era, how crazy it was. Right, man, that was just a crazy time.
Look, the 85 set too, like the Clemens and the Gooden, those were cards you had to have, right?
Yeah.
But I think the card, Joe, now that you mention it, the card that really exploded the hobby and created the junk wax era as we now know it, right? Like the late 80s, because I don't think the mid 80s, I think the mid 80s is very popular. We were into it, right?
Yep.
The 86 Donruss Jose Canseco, because Canseco was... Right, Canseco was beyond baseball. He was like a culture, an iconic figure, right? In just pop culture.
He really was. He was messing with Madonna. There's a lot of paparazzi. Like that kid was on another level out there.
Yeah, that 86 Donruss was, and I love those other cards. I was chasing those other cards. I was obsessed. Even the 83 tops, Boggs and Gwynn. But the Donruss Canseco, the rated rookie logo. Yeah. And then from there, the Griffey Upper Deck in 89 and that whole deal.
The crazy thing about that 86, 85 Donruss, where I grew up in Yonkers, I couldn't find Donruss like that. Like It was like I would go to weird areas, like my cousins lived upstate, and I would find them up there. But like in my neighborhood, it was a rare sight to see them. So I don't even have a lot of those cards. So even when you're saying that was like to find those, you'd be like, oh, I gotta grab as many as I can because I might not see them again.
They weren't as common too, like to see them then, right?
Yeah.
But I think it drove demand, and then like 87, 88, 89, the print runs on those for Topps and Donruss and Fleer were out of control, and that was the junk wax, like probably 87 to 91, 92. I don't think cards were printed as heavily before that in those years that we remember so well.
Even the sport flicks, I remember I was into those as a kid. I mean, they're not worth much, but if you think of, they were ahead of their time with those. I mean, if you look at them now, they were made it was for that era. Like there's some cool cards. I mean, there's a Bo Jackson one I think I bought recently just because it's just dope the way it looked back in the days. And sometimes some of those sport flicks, they had like 3 different players. So if you turn it, there'd be a few different dudes on it. They were cool cards, man.
They were awesome. I still have some of those. Do you guys have, let me ask you guys a question. So you're back in the hobby. Do you have cards from your childhood collection, or also did you go out and get some of those cards from your childhood collection?
I was lucky that I was an only child and my mother kept everything. So luckily when years, like you said, when I lived in LA, I had a box that I just brought out there with the good cards because I was always afraid to leave like my Jordans and like my Mattingly. So I always kept a little shoebox even when I got on a plane but all my other cards, like I had stored at my mom's. So I still have a lot of my child collection. I would say from like what you said, from 79, 80, probably all the way up into the late 80s. And like you said, once, I graduated in 92. So once 90, 91 came, I was done.
Yep, same here. I'm 92.
So I have some 90s, but like 91, I don't have anything. So realistically, it's cool to just look how you collected and go back in those boxes and say, well, like, what did I do? Did I go by numbers? Did I go by teams? So it's really cool. And now my daughter like loves to sort and collect. And I just love to watch her, how she wants to do it. Because the way she does it, some stuff is different than the way I did it. So the whole thing with kids even makes it more cool sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, so this is a card I always wanted as a kid. Like Joe, we couldn't get Donruss and where I was at. But this is probably in my top like 3 of my favorite cards. This is my Mattingly from when I was a kid.
That's awesome.
Had it in a box forever.
What grades are those, Joe?
This is a 9.
And that was yours from a kid, and you
This
had a
was
grade?
mine from a kid.
I got
Like, now I only started to grade card. I think the first time I sent cards away from grading was like in the middle of 2018. So at that point, when I sent this in like about a year ago. Joe remembers when I got this back, not long ago. So I had some experience grading first. I was sending in modern cards, you know, like the Juan Sotos and the Acuñas and stuff.
Yeah.
So I kind of had an idea, but I was like, wow, this card's actually amazing. And in, 10 years ago, this would have been a PSA 10 easily. But like, it's awesome to have a card graded from when you were a kid. But as far as the cards that I do have a good amount of vintage cards. When I was a kid, I was buying them. There was a spot near me. And I do have just a bunch of like junk wax stuff that like I'll never get rid of just because, and I know exactly which ones are like from that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
because I stopped. Like anything I have, like I don't have any new junk wax. I might have here and there a couple of things, but I don't have any new, 85 Cal Ripkins or anything like that. So I know that all those cards are old. But the cool thing is about when we did stop, I was just having a conversation with Joe about this before, like the 90s era now for me is just like this incredible time where I was just not there. So now I'm all into these crazy refractors and this wild stuff. Like I got a box of 94 Finest. I got a great deal on it because I convinced the guy it was probably bricked. When I opened it, it wasn't. I hit a box. The box I hit had a Jeter refractor, a Bonds refractor, and a Gwynn refractor. And for like 2 months after that, I just like went insane buying boxes like a moron, like not realizing you're not going to hit that ever again.
Yeah.
But it's just a cool, because the 90s are like this, there's a big time there where I didn't collect anything from like 90, maybe I stopped a little bit after 91, 92, maybe, and 93, but till like 2017. So you're talking about 14 years where I just really like, occasionally I'd get a wax box at a garage sale. Like somebody had like 89 tops or something for $10. And I'd be like, oh, let me get that. But I'd put it on the shelf. I bought one in like 2005. I put it on the shelf like until I started collecting again. And then I was like, oh, it's like 2018. I'm like, oh, 17. Let me open this box up. And that kind of got me back into the Judge thing. So getting into the back.
So you were about 25 years between stopping and getting back into it.
Yeah, what am I talking about? 14 years.
You said 14, but you mean 25 years.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot an entire decade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I missed the 90s too, right? So I know I cut off a 91. So I got my 91 Topps cards when I pulled out the boxes, Topps Baseball. I love that set.
Yeah.
So I missed this card. The 92.
Great card.
92 Bowman.
That's
one of my favorite.
I got that in the 9. Cards. That's a great card. I'm jealous, dude. That's just like.
Yeah, I got that at a trade night.
Great card.
That's one of my favorite. It's just how incredible he looks in that makes up for the card. I mean, how can you even look like that? Like,
it's crazy. It does not look like a baseball player, traditional baseball card. He's just got a different kind of swag going on,
Exactly. Classic. It's
That's
funny you said about like childhood cards. Luckily, all my Jordans I kept in top loaders, where back then top loaders weren't a thing really, but I had them protected. I guess I had some insight. So recently I graded a few of the Jordans, and this one came back.
An 8? Nice.
Yep.
I was looking at 8s of that card for a long time. That's his second year because I had his 86 and an 8. So I'm like, I want the second year 2 and an 8. That's great, Joe.
And to know that this was my childhood card, and when I sent it in, honestly, I thought it was going to be a 6 or a 7. I didn't care. I was like, you know what, this still has value for whatever. But that I got an 8, I was like, wow, because an 8 of this is, it's a few bucks. I mean, it's like $400, I think, this card, or somewhere around there. But yeah, I have a bunch of Jordans that stayed good. I mean, like all of us, we thought we were going to retire off 85 Topps. We thought McGuire was going to be a $30,000 card when we got older. You know what I'm saying?
It's fun. It's funny you say that. I had a friend tell me that too. He knows I collect, right? So he calls me over to his place. He's like, I got these cards from when we were kids, 83, 84, 85, right? He said what you just said. When he bought those cards as a kid, he thought he was going to retire off of these cards, right?
I did.
I got to tell you, I don't know about you, Joe, HF minor. I never thought like that. I just really loved having the cards of the players. Like I knew they had some value, but when I was 13, 14, 15, So it's an interesting perspective. Like,
Yeah.
I just like having the cards, I just like
Oh,
having
yeah.
the cards to plays that I love.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah. Well, no,
But there is real value. As we know now, there's real value in these things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Tremendous value.
Yeah. I think way too many people nowadays, though, think they're going to retire on cards. Like how we were, like, I remember going to a card show like 88, 89 or something. And the guy was like, this is the best investment in America. It performs the stock market. Okay. I mean, if I have a lemonade stand that gives me 25% return on my income every year, it's outperforming the stock market. Doesn't mean it's, you know what I mean? Like people get crazy with that. And then I started to see the same kind of craziness during the pandemic with like, just the same thing like I saw with crypto guys. Like when I was into crypto a long time ago and whatever, but when it became more accessible, all of a sudden the crypto advisor, this and that, then you have all the baseball card. Oh, this is what you should invest in. And to me, I always say, like, I don't know anybody who's driving, a Ferrari because they have baseball cards. There might be a couple of those guys, but it's just a thing of, it's something, I just love.
I'm in the middle now. So I what I just said is, it's interesting what Joe said, but I do now is, a 40-something-year-old man with children and I work hard for my money. I put it into these cards. I do think sometimes about a card is like, I wouldn't say an investment, but definitely a store of value. I don't want to put $500 into a card and think the card is not going to be worth more than what I put into it at some point in time. So there's stuff I just love to collect because I'm a collector. And then there's stuff that I am investing in. There is stuff I am flipping. I am trying to make some money. Still a hobby. I don't think I'm going to retire off of it. I don't think I'm going to get rich off of it, but I like to think I could put X in and get Y out of it if I'm smart about what I'm buying.
But like what you were saying, just saying about flipping and selling, the way when you do what you do on your Instagram page is really dope because like the stuff that you post about eBay and selling, yeah, I know that, but a lot of people know it. But when you see it the way you break it down for everyone,
right.
I mean, that's a plus for the hobby because most people don't do that. You know what I'm saying? They have their little niches and they don't really let you know. Because nowadays, most people, they need to see it, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? You could say, but you're basically telling people I did this, I did this.
I appreciate that. And I think there's value in that. So I've seen that in my career in filmmaking, like those producers that are most honest with me or write tell-all books, like there's a lot of value in that as a filmmaker, right? So now that I'm in the hobby, I see a lot of people stay close. They're keeping their stuff close to vest. It's like a competition in some ways. They don't want to let you know who they're buying or what moves they're making. For me, I'm like, if I could share the information and create dialogue and people are into this and it's helping other people that want to, get to where I'm going with the hobby, there's value in that. And I like doing that. I think that's good for everyone, for me, for everyone else. I like sharing that stuff. So
yeah, it's really a plus for the hobby. I have to say it's all. I mean, you inspired me. A few days after that, ask Joe. I had 103 cards I went through. I just put 42 of them up on eBay. So it's like you inspired. I mean, listen, even if the card's $7, $8, some are 20, some are 30, but you know what?
Absolutely.
They're out there in the open. So let them just be out there. And if someone wants them, they want them, but they're better than sitting in my closet. That's how I look at it.
Absolutely. If you got stuff you want to start to shape your collection a little bit, pare down or consolidate, as they say in the hobby, you have to sell. And I'll tell you, Joe, selling can be as exhilarating as buying and as addictive. Like I love my hustle of selling. I love to buy too. I could sit here and buy all day. And it's easier than selling, right? But selling is a lot of fun and it's really healthy. It gives you a healthy balance when you're in the hobby like I am.
And it could be in any way. Joe knows, maybe like 4 or 5 months ago, I found some 90 Topps hockey. Some guy was selling a case on the marketplace for like $150. You know what I'm saying? I sell them for I can sell them for $30 a box.
Yep.
You just flipped. That's a flip. You know,
absolutely.
Whatever way you could feel you can make a few bucks. That's what's great about the hobby. There's no rules. It's just
when I came back in 2019 to buy a $25 card, it was like, shit, I'm gonna spend $25 on a card. Then it was like, oh shit, I'm gonna spend $50 on a card. Now I could drop this Booker, this Devin Booker, it's an orange wave PSA 10, pop 26, right? I like Booker. I got a Ja Morant here. This is a variation, his layup, PSA 10, Prism, fast break, right? Like cards, I got some modern stuff, right? That Ja was like, that was probably about 400, right? The Booker, that's a $2,000 card, right? I didn't start saying, oh, I'm gonna buy 100 because I have the 100, or I'm gonna buy 1,000 because I have the 1,000. No, I started moving cards and I started, flipping up, and the money I'm making, I'm putting right back into the collection. So if I sell 10 cards, with $100 each, I got $1,000 now. I could put that into another card, and that's what I've done a lot of. I couldn't have done it without selling a lot.
Did you buy that Booker, or that was something you just randomly got?
No, I bought the Booker.
Oh.
I bought the Booker last year. I forget what I paid for it. I think it was around $2,000.
Yeah, that's a sick card though.
Pretty sick. That's a long hold until the kid's still so young. But But yeah, you have to sell in order to be able to roll into something like that. So my first year, I probably did about 15,000 selling. Then I doubled that in my second year, and third year I went above that. So this year's been slower, as you guys both know. Joe, you've been in it a little longer, I think. HF minor, and it's the buying has slowed down, especially the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's an exodus of a lot of people that got back into it, or like, first of all, there were people our age that got back into it that thought, oh, this is cool, let me make some money, and then they didn't really stick to it. And then there are people that really didn't care at all about it and just thought it was like the new thing, and they're gone. So there's a lot. I mean, vintage is still strong. Still, good graded cards of like Hall of Famers and future Hall of Fame great players like that.
Absolutely. For me though, I was selling a volume. I was selling volume. It was happening every day. It just has slowed down a lot. So I was on pace to break 50K this year in sales, which would have been great.
That's awesome, bro.
But it's going to take a lot. It's going to take like a big end of the year to get there now.
Man, I got to do that. I seriously, because I was looking at the post Joe was sending me, and I was like, wow, because I'm just, I'm super busy, but I'm also lazy when it comes to this stuff. Like, I have so many cards I need to just move. Cards that are good. I have not just shitty cards, like a lot of good cards that just like, refractors and stuff that like I won't grade because I know they won't grade a 9 and stuff like that. And I'm honest in my ads when I used to sell a decent amount on eBay, but like, maybe I'd sell 30 cards a month at the most. And a lot of them were $5, $10 cards, whatever. And I was also helping a friend out, like an older dude who had all these vintage cards. And that's how I actually got into selling. But I've just accumulated too many cards, I mean,
I know that feeling.
Like, let me ask you, what is your advice for getting rid of like, like I have like archives of books, like all these, and this is like watered down big time. These books are just for the most part A to like Z of like mostly Hall of Famers and stars from like, say, late, 70s maybe to like now. Some good stuff, autos. I put everything in those books. But most of it, like, Barry Bonds, a 60 card Barry Bonds lot, or like, whatever. How do you move that? Because I don't have a problem moving that stuff. It's not from that era that we spoke about before. And it's just like, I have a lot, not all, but I have a lot of Barry Bonds cards that I love, sick refractors, his rookies, the whole thing graded. So it's like, if I could get rid of that lot for freaking $20, I would do it, but how do you do that? Like, because I'd put lots on eBay and it would just sit there. Vintage stuff people would buy right away in an auction, but like, I don't know. Can I get rid of like a Bobby Abreu lot? Like, 60. Talk to me.
I feel your pain. Stuff like that is going to be hard to unload.
Yeah.
Unless you're willing to like unload a lot of it all at once to like a dealer or a card shop, right? Or Facebook Marketplace, where you're going to get maybe 40%, 30% of the value and be fine with that. Because right now it's just collecting dust on your shelf. Yeah. But if you could pull $1,000 out of what you think is $3,000, $4,000 worth of cards, maybe that's the win. Where I found some success recently is going to card shows with like a 2-row shoebox or a 4-row, if you're willing to carry it around, if you bring a buddy. But at card shows, at the right show, dealers are buying, right? And again, you're going to get probably, at least at the show, you're going to get half, 60%, maybe 50% of what the value is. So I've been able to unload some big lots. Like I'll take a whole shoebox of something like this. You know what it is. I'll just take this whole box. It's 2 rows. It's got a ton of cards. I'll bring it to the show. I'll find a dealer that wants to buy, or maybe I'll use it for trade value and get into one card, get into one graded card, or have it offset cash, things like that. And I've been able to chip away. Dr. James Beckett, right? Beckett. He talks about on his podcast, like if he could get rid of just like 1% of his collection every so often, if you could just chip away at it, but you have to be active in doing that, right? So I sell a lot of singles. I don't sell a lot of lots, but if I know I got some shit I got to get rid of, I'll take it to a show, or I'll find someone on Instagram. Like I know someone that's, that buys a lot of cards. You find something like a card shop or a card dealer that buys lots, and try and get them to not lowball you too bad and just get the stuff out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
That is good advice. Yeah. Yeah. Like I figure, the cards, 25 cents a card. If I'm going to take like 40%, it's like 8 or 9 cents a card. I'm good with that. That's not, I don't care. 9, 10 cents.
Like the eBay stuff, it's like anything else. You have to start, right?
Yeah.
You have to start something. Right now, Joe, it's overwhelming, right? You have a lot of cards. I have a lot of cards too. But once you start and you get a couple sales and you get a couple more and you're selling singles and some cash is coming in, you're like, okay. And you get into a groove and a rhythm. It's like anything else. Once you start it just gets going. And it'll be good for your collection and for the hobby in your life.
Are you who do you PC?
That's a really good question. I'm these days like Peyton Manning, Clayton Kershaw. I love like eras in sports. Like I love 70s. Look, I bought a bunch of like 70s basketball. I'm into that right now. Like these are guys that these 2 cards cost me $30 shipped, right? So this is just straight collection. Artis Gilmore,
come on,
rookie in a PSA 7. I love the 77 top set.
77 tops is nice.
Yeah, Bob Lanier in a PSA 7. It's a beautiful 7. It's probably undergraded. This is a bigger card. There's a Kareem and a 71 Lou Alcindor PSA 8.
That card is ridiculous.
That's a beauty, man.
This I got at a show in Connecticut when I was working on Pep. I broke out for a weekend. We were just sitting in a hotel. I'm like, there's a show nearby. Dr. J in a 6.
Classic card though.
Great card.
This is a card actually I bought at the top. I bought at the peak, right? In the winter of 2021. So you were talking about people getting out of the hobby. I think some people got burnt. They bought at the peak and they're sitting on these cards. They spent $25,000. Now they got $10,000 worth of cards. So the Dr. J, I paid about $1,500 for. I actually got it from a friend. I had this graded for him.
Oh shit!
This was his as a kid. I graded it, gave it back to him. He had 2 of them. So whenever you're ready to sell that 6, let me know. He was smart. It hit like $1,500. He's like, "You want to buy it?" I'm like, "Absolutely, I want to buy it." Because it was only going up from there, right? No, it's about $800 or $900 now.
Wow. That's great. That's great.
Still a great card, though. Beautiful
it's
card.
Still, it's still great. That's a card
Yeah.
I'll just keep forever. So I don't care that I lost the value on that, and it will probably come back up eventually, right?
Yeah.
I'm thinking about buying a second one, just doing a little cost averaging, right? Paid $1,500 for that. If I buy one, if I get one for $8, now my cost basis is
That's
what?
it. You work it like the market.
Yeah.
It's
a nice enough card.
No, that's those basketball, man. No, I don't have a lot of those. I got a few, but like.
That's a great.
So then, look, this is the shit we grew up on,
83
right?
tops is the shit. 84 tops also, yeah.
PSA 10.
To the 10.
PSA 10, right? I paid like $30, $40 each for these cards.
And nobody had this. Those are like low pops too. Like no one has that
They're
George
both under
Brett.
100. They're both under 100.
Nobody has that George Brett All-Star, bro. That thing's
that's great. That's a great card, man. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Things like that.
84 Yants, dude. That's a beauty, man. Can I put that 84 Yant up again? That's such a great card.
It's beautiful.
I've always liked this card. It's one of my favorite cards out of that set.
Oh, man.
such an awesome card. You know.
4 Sharp Corners. Do you guys know 4 Sharp Corners?
Yeah, I buy from them often. I mean, I end up buying from them a lot of times. I'll see it. Oh, okay, these guys. Actually, I just bought, I think, this from them. This 89 Topps batting leaders. Have you seen these, bro? These are like really rare inserts.
Yeah, those are cool. And they've got them on 4 Sharp. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. So when you ask me, Joe, what I collect, I am kind of all over the place. It's a bit of a problem, but I collect what I love. 90s and
Exactly.
2000s basketball. I love 70s basketball as well. Breeze, Manning, Kershaw. I like the modern guys. I like to dabble in that. The John Morants, the Devin Bookers. Not much. Like 1 or 2 pieces of each of these players is enough. I don't have like a deep PC on these guys. And I'll flip them in a second. There's no love for those cards.
Yeah. Well, that's the beauty. Some cards, the price doesn't matter because it's yours forever. You know what I'm saying? There's certain cards that, you're going to spend or whatever, but I just want this forever. I'm not looking to set. And that's the beauty of the hobby. There's some cards, like you said, you want to buy, hey, in a year or so, I have no ties to it. I could flip, make my money, make my 300, 400, 500 off it. I'm good. But there's some cards that you're like, I don't care what I paid because I love it and it's rare and no one has it. That's it.
Absolutely.
It's like this thing. This is Phil Rizzuto's ticket for his first game in Yankee Stadium.
That's awesome. Holy cow.
And I always love Phil, but there's no pop on this. I actually, when I sent it to PSA, I made them write first game at Yankee Stadium because when they sent it back to me, they didn't have it. I said, wait. I said, the reason I sent this in is because it's Rizzuto's first game at Yankee Stadium. He's a Hall of Famer. And they put it in. They were like, cool, we'll put it in.
That's incredible. I love that.
Yeah.
And I bought this ticket raw.
So
that's great.
Yeah, Joe got me into tickets. I went into my LCS and I saw when Barry Bonds hit his 73rd home run for $100. Like, this is just
great. That's $100. That's sick. That's great.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things.
I mean, that's a great. I mean, for that type of
that is the controversial. It's like a piece of art. Like somebody sees that, a conversation starting. 73rd home run. Like, I love Barry Bonds because he's the fucking, he's the heel of baseball. He's just a wrestling heel.
Yeah.
But
I think that's great. The tickets are awesome. I don't want to dive too deep into the tickets because I'll just go nuts. I think it's awesome. Whenever someone starts talking tickets, I almost turn it off because I'm like, that stuff is so exciting. That's really great stuff. I'm not there yet. I have 1 ticket right now at PSA. I got it for $40 on eBay. The Game 5 Yankees 96 World Series. That was the first World Series we saw them win, right?
Yeah.
All those years. The Andy Pettitte game, the 1-0 game.
Yeah.
I saw it. I mean, I could keep going with them, but
tickets are fun, man.
One for now.
Yeah, they're genuinely like, just, you can't beat that. It's an experience you're buying. Like, a card's awesome, but this is an experience. Somebody went to that game.
I bought this recently. It's Tom Seaver's 300th win at Yankee Stadium, and it was Phil Rizzuto's day.
Yes, I remember watching that game. He played for the White Sox.
Yep. So, stuff like that means something because I'm a Phil Rizzuto fan. So for me, like, Tom Seaver, 300th win at the stadium, it was Phil Rizzuto day. Like, that's something like that. It's like, that's what's so great about the hobby because you could go back in time. You could, like you just said, you remember the day, right? So it's like, that's one thing about a ticket is cool is that it brings you back to a moment,
Absolutely. Very cool.
It is cool, man. And that's what's great about the hobby is there's no rules. I always tell Joe that there's no rules. Everybody makes their own rules because whatever you collect or how you collect or which way you collect, that's on you. That's the beauty of it.
Yeah. And the history of the tickets is a wonderful thing. When I worked on Pep in the fall, someone up there, one of the characters in the movie, it's a true story. So this guy was a part of Willie's life. He was a sports writer for the Hartford Courant. His son, after the movie was over, so I wrote his dad into the movie. His son was a consultant. He gave me all these press passes and tickets. He gave me a beautiful ticket. I've got it in the cabinet. I got to get it graded. 1943 World Series Yankees game
Come
1
on.
against the Cardinals. Now, I didn't know anything about that series, but like you were just saying, to the point is, it brings you back. So then I started to research that World Series and the 2 teams, they were the 2 best teams in the league. And I think it was a 6-game series that the Yankees won 4-2. But yeah, the tickets pull you right back into the history
That's
of the
it.
sport or the event.
That was very nice of them to do that. Oh, wow, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah. I don't even know what it's worth, but it's in beautiful condition, and it's just so. What
It's
is
worth
that?
some
80
money.
years
Yeah.
old?
The tickets, I mean, especially if it's a meaningful, I mean, any World Series, it's just from that era is going to be worth money because you just can't find them. They're not
Yeah,
around.
some collectors though, I see them on Instagram. They say they think it's weird that you're buying someone else's ticket. I would disagree with that.
You find somebody else's anything, if you're buying
That's
something
true.
that's
I
not
mean,
from your era.
I just feel like if it's that rare of a ticket where the odds of, my thing is if it's out there and someone buys it, it might never come back again. That's how I look at it. Like that's when I sold this Rizzuto, I said, I'm never going to see this again, so like I got to grab it because I may never get a chance to grab it again. So
Sure.
It's one of those things that people collect too. Like even if they're not collectors of anything, people go on dates and stuff, they'll keep that ticket or whatever. Oh, wow. Yeah, that's nice. The Willie, yeah.
You got
48.
the 4.5 SGC. That's beautiful, man.
that's not bad. This card is so beautiful. I mean, this.
Yeah, I got mine right above the desk, Joe. It's a PSA 4. It's really nice centering. Not as nice on the registration as your 4.5. You got some real white gold. That's very white, isn't it? Your copy looks very bright.
Yeah,
mine's very tinted.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
These cards, it's weird how with these sometimes the backgrounds are all different colors.
Yeah, I mean, in the 48 Leaf, there are some instances of background variations.
There's some pink ones.
In the baseball, at least. But you know what it is, too? Like, we were talking about this before. We were talking about a 52 mantle. Like, when the printers are brand new, it's like, yeah, you'll get that deep red. But as they get old, longer and longer they print, you might get like an orange-looking one. And you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know anything about the printing technology. I'm just assuming that because I have examples of cards where one of them is like beautiful, bright, rich, and then the next card's drab and like all the like greens and the blues are all mixed together of the same exact card. So I mean, who knows what they were doing? But that set, that 48 Leaf, that's 48 Leaf, right?
Yeah.
It's like that set's ridiculous.
Iconic set.
That's ridiculous. Like that whole year of Leaf, with the Jackie and that Rizzuto is a great card too.
Rizzuto, yeah. I mean,
Ted Williams.
That's a great set.
Satchel Paige.
Innovative set too. It's just classic. It's in its own category.
Absolutely. You know what I've been looking at lately? It's a grail for me now is 38 Gowdy Bob Feller. Bob Feller's rookie. Check out that card when we go offline. I don't know if you guys know. It's very animated. He's like, it's
are those
like a cartoon?
Like the cartoon. Yeah. Those are the cartoon ones, right? Yeah.
Oh man.
I've always been turned off by that set, like just because I like the other Gowdies. But listen, it's a Bob Feller rookie.
It's a Bob Feller rookie.
That's something else.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Do you are you into like the old tobacco? Like, the cool thing about being older and getting back into it when you're in your 40s is like, all right, cool. When I was a kid, like I didn't have access. I knew about T206 cards because I knew about the Wagner and all that. I read about it in the magazines. But I could never, they didn't have them at my local card shop, my LCS or anywhere but to be able to buy some of those now and have cards from 1911 and 12, do you go deep back into the game that deep? Do you have any like really old stuff?
I don't. In fact, I had eyes on a Joe Jackson card. I think it was a 19.
That's crazy. Right?
It was like a $30,000 card. But I went the other way, guys. I dove more into the modern because that older, I'm just not there yet, right? With those like T206 cards, 1910s and 1920s. No, I went more into the ultra modern. I dove into like, the young basketball players, the young baseball players.
Yeah.
Collecting is funny. Collecting's weird, right? I'm sure at some point I'm going to come back around to that. Because like I said, I had my eyes on the Joe Jackson. I had my eyes on the 38 Gowdy now, the Bob Feller. And it's a very fickle thing. I don't know if it's that way for the two of you, but like I could be into something really heavy. I go in, we call them runs. Like I go on a run.
Yep.
I'll spend like 2 or 3 weeks just banging out like Peyton Manning refractors, right? Put them on the shelf. Okay, what's the next thing? And then a year later, I might look at my collection and say, I'm not into this card anymore. And now it's something else. And I'm out with the old and with the new. It could just be
That's
my
how
nature. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
what I was just saying, there's no rules. It's just the way you get caught onto something, and then I mean, I do that at night sometimes. All of a sudden, I look at a card, and an hour later, I'm looking at all these cards from this set that I never even knew even existed. But now I'm in this hole, like searching, and you get into stuff like that, and it just happens. There's no way to. But that's what.
Yeah,
there's no
I
ending to like the card game. That's how it is.
Yes. Haven't gotten into the tobacco cards yet, though. They are intriguing to me, but not yet.
Yeah, they're cool because most of those guys just have an amazing story, and the cards themselves some of them are amazing. Like I'm into the backgrounds. I don't like the profile cards because it's like I don't want to picture some dude's head from 1910, But like these amazing artists, whoever made these cards, and that's the cool thing. Nobody really knows who actually made these cards,
Yeah.
And you see some of these backgrounds where they're trying to emulate like a sunset. And then that just brings back playing, baseball, grown up playing it like, you play that Twilight game and it's just like amazing. You get into this nostalgia that you never really even had any part of, but you like invent your own, like, oh, that's cool. Wonder what it was like in 1911, 12. These guys are playing with the flannel uniforms and all that. So it's cool. But it's easy to get into the modern stuff. Like I dived into modern baseball heavily with the Soto. Like I'm glad I bought a bunch of Soto stuff, bunch of Acuna, because at the time I was like, yo, these guys are really good. I didn't know the hobby. Even by by 18, I was back in it for a year, but I was like, I didn't really get it. I was focusing on older cards, but I knew baseball. I'm like, yo, this kid Soto's a beast. This kid Acuna is out of control. Judge is obviously crazy. Let me get into this stuff. So it's cool. It's nice to have a balance between new stuff and old stuff. And that's nice because I don't, I buy everything, like I like old stuff. I like new stuff in between. It's just so interesting. The hobby's so interesting to me. So
yeah, even stuff like this. So this is a guy that I like to PC. You don't see a lot of his cards around.
Oh, that's incredible, dude. The Bruce Lee.
So
I sent Joe a Bruce Lee rookie or something.
Come on, bro.
This is card number 1 from the Enter the Dragon set, 1974 Yamakatsu.
What?
This is one of the highest graded copies. I bought this raw. Look at this. This is
that is
Chinese on the back.
I've never even seen that card, bro. That's unreal. So you bought that raw and graded that?
Listen, I bought this raw from Taiwan. It came in this Taiwanese newspaper. It was in a top loader wrapped in like Taiwanese newspaper, and like an older person had wrapped it up.
That dude had it since the 75.
Yep.
Probably. Yep. And it was in really nice shape. And this is a nice grade. 6.5 is a nice grade for 1974.
Yeah. And that's a tough grade for SGC now, because SGC is really tough now on everything. That's awesome. Like me and Joe, like sometimes we talk about, it's just like for the most part, when it comes to graded cards and stuff, like I just try to get the GOATs, man, like the Montanas, the Mantles, the Mays, the Aarons. And then Joe actually got me into like non-sports. So like just to have stuff like that, like that's really, really awesome.
Oddball stuff, we call it. Yeah, I love that stuff.
Oh yeah, Joe, forget it. He's the Sinatra master, bro. This guy's like the Sinatra guy. It's over.
Yo, that's great. I love that, Joe. That's great.
48.
That's smart.
Turf cigarettes.
And that stuff you could get. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying
I'm excited about that card.
This card is it's a BCCG, but when I look at it compared to, it's probably like a 5 in a PSA. But I mean, they go for big money, and this is one of his first. It's kind of his rookie card. His cards before, he had stamps and like small little kind of paper cards. This was his first actual like card. So, I mean, something like that. 47 Sinatra. I mean, I love Sinatra. I have about, I would say like 12 of his cards, ranging from this 47 up to like 62. But it's just something that obviously I grew up on Frank and I always loved him. But when I realized that there was so many of his cards out there, I mean, I never knew there was Frank Sinatra cards. You know what I'm saying? From the 40s and 50s.
What were you paying for those? What were you paying for them? Reasonable?
I paid like $300 for this.
Okay.
But
fair.
But in a 5, they're about $500-600 now. You see them about around that. But like I said, I bought this. I want to get this into a piece, PSA. I don't want it in this thing. But
Sure.
It's forever. It's like, you know, I don't ever want to get rid of this. So when I bought it as like, it's a good value for what it is. I don't think it's ever going to go lower, you know, so. But
That card would look great, Joe, in a tuxedo, in my opinion. And it would have just, you know, you can't go wrong. The value will hold. I think it'll look good. Yeah, I think it'll look good in the black.
Did you say that when I first got
you know,
it?
when it comes to, you know, especially nowadays with the modern labels on the SGCs, it's really respected because I'm in all these SGC groups online and these kids get brutalized. They put the cards in. SGC obviously was trying to make moves during the PSA shutdown and have people look at them with higher regard as far as how they grade. And I got to say, man, SGC is tough and that's a good thing. And putting those cards, like anything smaller than a regular card, I always put, other than like modern Bowman Chrome minis and stuff, but anything else looks better in a tux. Tobacco card looks better in a tux. Something smaller than a 2x5 by 3x5 card looks better.
That black, it's the black mat around it. You know, it gives it a real
like a piece
really
of
makes
art.
the card
Like,
pop.
you know,
Very
it's like also PSA has an issue, like the way they put these cards in bags. You know, you ever see that? Like,
yeah, and they're all over the place.
Yeah,
they're all over the place.
They're literally sliding. You know, I see these cards and I'm like, that's a card I'd buy, but like, hold on, let me just show you. I have one in here.
Yeah, they do slide around with that. It drives me crazy. I mean,
this card, when I saw this card, I just had to buy it. Like, look at the background of this card, right?
Love it. Love it.
Now, this card in a PSA slab is going to have a strange bag around it and it's going to rattle, you know, like this.
Yeah, look.
You know what I mean? Like this to me, especially with these tobacco cards, this is like a small piece of art. This is like a little framed piece of art. You get a hang up.
100%. I was
when
saying
it comes to the presentation of these older cards, you cannot, you can't compare it.
Not as nice with the plastic, right? Not as nice in the PSA sleeve holder, and then it's crooked. So it's a double whammy.
Yep. No, I agree.
They haven't figured that out. I don't know why they haven't figured that out.
I know it's frustrating because then you got to kind of tip it over this, try to get it back, and it's like sometimes it's there, it's not going anywhere. Frustrating. That's a good call though. Yeah, I just got a 73 Kellogg's Tom Seaver in a 9. It's a fucking stunning. You know those cards? They're like the lenticular cards too. And it's in a PSA slab and it has the bag thing and it like shakes around. It's like, this card is so incredible. At least, you know, like, you know, the showers where you can't see through, like do that kind of glass and just frame it perfectly if you got to not have the black.
On the flip side, I do like the way the tall boy cards, for some reason they figured that out. The tall boy cards, the oversized PSA slabs are really nice.
I have here, check this out. Yeah. This is one of the coolest cards. You know, 85 Donruss All-Stars, they came out with this set. I may have some.
Yeah, they had the oversized cards,
These, right? And I realized recently that there's a Gooden rookie in there, and this is an oversized card. This card's incredible.
That card is
awesome. Like $30 on eBay, dude.
Bro, that's incredible. I haven't seen that forever.
I fucking love this card. And it's like, yo, that entire set. You know, this one of the spots I go to, like they have a box or two full of those, and it's like $3 for 5 of them. So I put the set together, you know, like stuff like that. I'll put a little set together because it's like such a cool set. But like, when it comes to the oversized PSA, like the tops, I think it's the 64 Giants. You ever see those ones, like the big ones? Yeah. They look awesome. So I've not seen SGC grade those. I've never seen that, but you know, like for me, part of the thing, and me and Joe have talked about this a million times, like the presentation is important. Like the grade's cool, but in that, you know, the SGC slab, anything that's smaller, like I have this Sugar Ray Robinson from the 51 Tops. What is the name of the set? It's a set I got. It's not the one with him by himself. It's like when, you know, and it's like, I want to send that to PSA, but I don't. I want it in that slab. I want it in that tuxedo. I got boxing cards from like 1910, 1911. I have some old stuff. I'm going to send it to SGC. Like, I don't care because it just looks better. It just looks better.
And you're going to have it back in 2 weeks.
Exactly.
That's the other part of it.
Yeah. That's the other side of it.
at half the price.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
I know.
it's-
One thing I have to say, what you do, another thing you do cool, and when you do, you rip live, and then you give away a few packs to the guys in the live, which is really cool. I was telling Joe one time I was watching your thing, and some dude hit like a Bellinger auto.
Yeah. No, I'm
like,
still
what?
not happy about that. Now, that wasn't any dude. That was a good friend of mine, right?
Oh,
So,
it was. Oh, okay.
yeah, it was a good friend, but still, it pained me because that was the biggest card in the box. And he's not a collector like we are. He's a sneakerhead. He's crazy about sneakers.
Oh, got it.
But cards, he's like, yeah, send it to PSA. So I'm gonna slab it for him. He's gonna put it in a box. He's gonna forget about it. Yeah, it was blue. It was a Cody Bellinger Topps Chrome blue refractor numbered to 150 auto.
Bro.
wow, that's a monster. Or
And
it
he
was.
pulled
a
it
couple years
live.
ago.
I couldn't believe it. I was like, what?
It's a monster
card.
Yeah, it's still a good card. I still have faith in Cody Bellinger. He's only like 26 or something, if that. He's pretty young, 25.
He's had a very strange career, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah.
He has.
2020 threw a lot of guys off, I feel like. I always throw that year away. The next year, I think he was hurt for a bunch of the year. And then the year after that, he had maybe 100 games. And then this year, he's not playing that good. So.
Very weird.
Oh, yeah.
Frustrating. Those players frustrate me. Not even for the fact of their cards, just as a fan. Like, somebody has like that much talent. It's like, what's going on with this dude,
Yeah. No, Joe, but yeah, I like to, when I do the lives, if I've got a box, I want the engagement. I want people to be in the room, to be having fun. Back when I first got in, I was trying to sell packs and do live breaks for money. It was a lot of work. It wasn't worth the effort. It wasn't me. I didn't like getting skunking people. So I stopped that right away. And now if I got something I want to open for fun as a personal rip, I'll go on there, give out a pack, give out 2 packs, give out 3 packs, depending on the product. And it's fun for everybody.
It's really cool. Really, really like that. It's a cool. A lot of people don't do that. So that's once again, it's a plus for the hobby,
And Steve, also just say your Instagram so people know, so that when we make the Twitter. Go ahead.
Sure. It's Throwback Sports Cards on Instagram. And you'll see, if you go see my collection, it'll be consistent with some of what we spoke about here tonight. It's kind of all over the place. There's got to be some kind of theme. If you look at it, I have to explore it myself. But yeah, I collect all eras, all sports, and you'll see that on the page. You'll see some of what I've got in the PC.
Throwback Sports Cards, one word?
Yes, Throwback Sports Cards. Should come up.
Okay. I got some imposter over here, I think, man. He has like, you have more than 100 followers, I'm guessing.
Yeah, you can try throwback.sports.cards. I guess if you throw the dot in there, but generally if you put in Throwback Sports Cards, 3 words. I'm sorry, Joe, 3 words.
Okay.
Try the 3 words. You'll see a CryptoPunk.
Yeah, it's a cool little thing. What, somebody made that for you?
Yeah, my buddy made that. Kobe East Coast Collector, Milan.
Cool.
He's also a Bay Ridge guy who's now in Jersey. He's a Derek Jeter collector now. He was a Kobe guy.
Oh,
and
yeah?
I think he sold all of his Kobe's and he moved into Jeter. So he's got a ridiculous Jeter collection.
Wow.
Kobe.
Wait, this is another. I don't think this is you either, because there's a bunch of tobacco cards. Throwback_sports.cards. No. I'm trying to find this.
Throwback.sports.cards. Try that. Are you on Instagram, Joe?
Yeah.
It's just the dots. You got to throw the dots in. And where'd you grow up, Steve?
I grew up in Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
Yeah, Bay Ridge.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
And you're are you Yonkers, Joe?
I grew up in Yonkers. I live in North Carolina now for the last 7 years.
Yeah.
But
How do you like that?
I love it, man. For the kid, just like family life, man. It's it's great. There's a lot of Northerners down here, so where I'm at, it's I love it, man.
I'm already following you, bro. I know your page. All right. Yeah.
I think I'm following you as well.
Yeah. Let me see.
Joe's not far. Joe's close to you. Joe didn't grow up far from me.
I'm on the border of Woodside and Maspeth. I grew up in Queens. Yeah, Bay Ridge is awesome, bro. I love Bay Ridge. That's cool. I can tell when you first started, because I don't, a lot of the people that we speak to are not from New York at all. But when you started to talk, because I thought I was like, where's this dude from? And then once you started to speak, I was like, this guy is like, he's like saying 6 years. I'm like, this guy's definitely from like Southbrook. I knew Southbrook. I was about to be like, bro, what neighborhood are you from in South Brooklyn? Not even like, I could tell though. It's different.
I'm a Southie.
That's funny, man.
Yeah, I know it's getting late, man. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, man.
You got to get the kiddos going. But yeah, listen, love having you on. Definitely do it again. Maybe we'll keep it going every few months, and you could come on and give everybody different tips and all this stuff. But we appreciate the time, man. You have a great follow. You're definitely a plus to the hobby, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me. This was a blast. I really enjoyed just talking sports cards and hanging with the two of you. So thank you.
Absolutely, Steve. Thank you, man. It's been a pleasure, and I'm gonna try to get rid of some of these lots and try to make some moves. I got to just do it. Just got to get up and start doing it.
Just chip away at it, man. Chip away. eBay's great too. Just get going. But I'll see you guys on the gram for sure.
Definitely.
Awesome, brother.
Thanks, brother.
Thanks,
All right,
brother. Later.
All right, later.
Peace.
Peace.